It's the grand narrative that has been preoccupying our next speaker, Lawrence Ford, who has always worked between on the correlation between the inner world and the outer world, the correlation between the inner transformation and the macrocosm and the macro story and the macro narrative that we're living collectively. Lawrence, please.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you for these wonderful comments thus far, and congratulations to 65 years of deep, meaningful work for the Academy, and it's an honor to be part of this. I will be very brief because I'm excited to get into a dialogue here with my esteemed colleagues. I am coming to you from the middle of, this is perfect because I'm coming to you from the middle in a boat in the middle of the Gulf of, I'm not sure if it's the Gulf of Mexico or the Gulf of America, but that will define the speed of our change these days. I think my internet is stable enough to hang in here with everybody, so thank you for putting up with us. I want to start with just a little bit of a story. If we go back to many of our listeners and my esteemed panelists may recall a famous picture taken in Manhattan in 1900. And it was a shot down the street of Manhattan, and it was 99% horses everywhere. And 13 years later, there was one horse in all cars. Now, back in those days, that was very fast change before technology and all of the tools we have today for speed. And the fascinating thing for me when I look at history is, guess what all the experts were focused on back then? Literally horse shit. They were focused on the big manure crisis. How do we design better shovels? How do we regulate these issues to get rid of all of this manure? And that to me is a wonderful, wonderful story of where we are today as humanity, as we're moving from deeply into the death of the age of knowledge, where intellect and information was prime. All of our credentials and all of the schools we went to that leveraged everything we had to rehash information. It is history. It is a fascinating time to be alive. And so my calling is, Mila, to your point, and to the essence of this session, is we do need something different to mean, something we can all get behind. Because what artificial intelligence is doing for us today, and here's a shameless plug, as I write about in my book that's coming out in December 7th of this year, is really the fact that it is shifting everything exponentially, and it is a mirror of our core systems-based thinking and programming that it's putting back to us. It's not doing anything to us. It's showing us what we've created with all of our incentives itself. And it's going to magnify us off the cliff if we're not careful. So really the meaning that I would like to call forth for humanity during this shift is changing what we value most, what our highest level of currency is as humans. And just imagine for a moment, if this wasn't such a crazy idea, that it was really, we looked at each other and said, boy, you are a special human being. You have a gift like no other. And how can we help you live that? Because we know that that thread in this tapestry of life is the most important thing. Because when we're on purpose and living our purpose, we have inner peace. And when more of us do it, we have world peace. And although we can be pretty messed up creatures at times, as being demonstrated often over and over again through history, when we're on purpose, man, we are unstoppable. And we have all of the solutions in the world that we need. They just need to be discovered, empowered, and amplified. And imagine if that system, and I will finish with this, implemented into our core structure of economics in GDP, because that is what drives everything, is incentive. And we cannot forget our world of capital, because that is the fuel on the fire of technology. Imagine for a moment if we moved from GDP to GD purpose, and it wasn't some soft, fluffy idea, but actually became one of the most important um, economic indicators or stock analyst tools where Wall Street falls in love with it rather than thinks it's fluff. And so, meaning and purpose at a time where we can all come together when AI is going to continue to fuel the level of separation, not only of capital and wealth, but of attention, is a time for the calling. And I'm excited about having this conversation with all of you here today.